Alex Jamison was sharing a glass of white wine with her older sister, Amber, and talking to her precocious, soon-to-be 6-year-old niece, Zoe. Decker and Jamison were here on vacation from solving crimes as part of a special task force at the FBI back in Washington. Decker had been reluctant to go with Jamison, but their boss, Special Agent Bogart, had insisted that he take some type of leave. And when Jamison had suggested that he accompany her on a visit to her sister, Decker couldn't think of a single other place to go. So here I am. He took another sip of his beer and studied his size 14 feet. When they had arrived here, introductions had been made, hugs given, pleasantries exchanged, bags put away, and Jamison had given out housewarming gifts to her sister and niece because Amber and her family had only recently moved here. Dinner was prepared and eaten, but long before then, Decker had run out of things to say and ideas of what would be socially acceptable to do. And that's when Jamison, who knew him perhaps better than anyone else, had discreetly suggested that he take his beer and his awkwardness outside so the sisters could catch up in the way that women often did while no men were around. The social awkwardness had not always been a part of him. The 6'5", 300-pound plus, well, maybe more than simply plus, Decker, a former professional football player, had once been outgoing, gregarious, a bit goofy even, fun-loving, and always ready with a quip. Then had come the vicious blindside hit to the head on the football field that had changed his life and who he was forever. The resulting brain trauma had almost killed him, and while he had survived, the blow had forced his brain to rewire itself to allow healing to occur. This process had left two distinct marks on him. One was hyperthymesia, or perfect recall. Those possessing such a condition often could apply it only to autobiographical information, and often had below-average memory capacities in other aspects of their lives. But not Decker. It was as though someone had placed a camera with a limitless capacity to take pictures in his head. He was the memory man, unable to forget anything. Decker had found it a decidedly mixed blessing. The second result of the hit was his developing synesthesia. He associated odd things, like death, with a color. In the case of death, it was a visceral electric blue that could raise the hairs on the back of Decker's neck and make him feel sick to his stomach. Along with his brain change, his personality had been transformed. The gregarious, fun-loving prankster had forever vanished, and in its place is me. With his football career irreversibly over, he had gone on to become a cop, and then a homicide detective in his hometown of Burlington, Ohio. He had been married to a wonderful woman named Cassandra, or Cassie as he always called her, and they had had a beautiful child named Molly. Had. It was all past tense, because he no longer had a wonderful wife or a beautiful child. Who killed you? Who murdered you? Well, Decker had figured out who had taken his family from him, and the person had paid the ultimate price. Yet it was nothing in comparison to the price that Decker had paid, that he would pay every minute until he drew his last breath.
And Alex says you can't forget anything.
Decker turned from these musings to the source of the query. Zoe Mitchell, twin blonde ponytails, long-sleeved pink shirt with flowers on it, and white shorts showing off dimpled knees, stared curiously at him across the width of the wooden deck attached to the back of her house. My memory's pretty good, yeah, said Decker. Zoe held up a sheet of paper. On it were about a dozen very long numbers. She passed it to him.
Can you remember all these?
She asked hopefully. Decker glanced at it and then handed the paper back to her.
Does that mean you can't remember them?
Said Zoe, the disappointment clear on her freckled face. No, it means that I already did. He recited the numbers back to her in the same order they appeared on the page, because that's what he saw in his head, the page of numbers. She broke into a toothy grin.
That is so cool.
You think so? Said Decker. Her pale blue eyes widened at his remark.
Don't you?
Sometimes, yeah. It can be cool. He leaned against the deck railing and sipped his beer while Zoe watched him.
And Alex says you catch bad people.